ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਦਾਸ ਗੁਰਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਖਦਾ ਹਾਂ।
Singh Manjit Kaur, a big welcome from me as well.
So a really big welcome. Today's program, ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਗੰਭੀਰ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਉਹ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਫਿਊਚਰ, the future of the Gurdwaras। ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਆ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਯੂਰਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ UK ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੈਸਟਰਨ ਕੰਟਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਜੰਪਲ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਗੋਸ਼ਟੀ ਕਰੂੰਗੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੋਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖੀ ਗਏ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖੂਗੇ ਅੱਜ ਕੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ। ਸੋ ਟੁਡੇਜ਼ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇਜ਼ ਗੋਇੰ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਡਿਸਕਸਿੰਗ ਦ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਆਫ ਦ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾਸ। ਜੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਬਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੱਦੀ ਸੱਚ ਧਰਮਸਾਲ ਹੈ, ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਭਾਲ ਕੇ, ਪੈਰ ਧੋਵਾਂ ਪੱਖਾ ਫੇਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਸਨਿਵ ਨਿਵ ਲੱਗਾ ਪਾਈ ਜੀਓ। ਇਹ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਸੀਗੀ, the beginning of the Gurdwara is from the Gurbani, that these were ਧਰਮਸਾਲ, and they were there, as the Guru says, to serve the Gursikhs. And then they evolved eventually. They obviously took on a different role, and we'll explore some of these things. So I'm going to, first of all...
Should we introduce our guests?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We've got some very, very distinguished guests with us today. And I want to introduce them. First of all, I'd like to start on my left by Harjinder Singh Lalli. Bhai Sahib ji is an academic and a researcher. He works at the University of Warwick, where he's a cyber security expert. He's also a broadcaster, and you've seen him many times in the media, and he's the director of the Gurnam Singh Manjit Academy. Next to Harjinder Singh is again a very familiar face by Jagraj Singh ji from the Basics of Sikhi. He's a politics, philosophy and economics graduate from the University of Oxford, and he's also served as an officer in the British Army. If I come to my right, we have Bhai Jagdis Singh ji. Bhai Jagdis Singh ji, who is from the 1984 Genocide Coalition. Bhai Jagdish Singh is a human rights activist, eco-activist, and works in the field of immigration law. And as I say, he's again somebody who is well known on the media. So we've got a great panel, a very important topic. So let's get going then.
Jagdish, I want to start off with you first. What is a Gurdwara? Is it more than the bricks and mortar?
Right. Guru Sahib has quite powerfully said, Tapi Tarti Tarmsal. Tarti Tarmsal hai. Ki the world, the earth, is our Gurdwara. Now I've often had debates and discussions and arguments. Ki, do I see the four walls of my local Gurdwara as my true Gurdwara, or as my Sikhi consciousness, my Sarbat Da Pala consciousness? Does that bring me to see the whole earth, the forests, the animals, the oceans? That is my Gurdwara. And I'm often in conflictual debates कि मैं जाके गुरुद्वारे जाके मत्थे टेकन नहीं जाना, मैं सिर्फ मत्थे टेकन वास्ते नहीं जा रहा गुरुद्वारे। So the Gurdwara, as it currently stands, in the form it stands, for me personally, मैं तो गुरुद्वारे जाना बिल्कुल बंद ही कर देता है, क्योंकि जो मैं गुरुद्वारे दी चार कंधां विच अंदर जाना है, वो सिक्खी भावना, वो सिक्खी एक्टिविज्म, वो सिक्खी सेवा, गरीब दा मूँह गुरु दी गोलक, वो चीज़ां मैनूं दिस नहीं रहियां। सगों जाके मेरे मन विच संकट आउंदे आ, पीड़ा आउंदियां, दुख आउंदे आ। सगों मैं बाहर जाके जिथे माई गार्डन एट होम फॉर एग्जांपल, वो मेरा गुरुद्वारा है, मेरा घर मेरा गुरुद्वारा है। कोई आ जाए 12 बजे रात को आ जाए, जी आए अंदर आओ, सेवा संभाल करिए। घर बाग लाए वा, फुल लाए, nature is in full operation at home. That is my Gurdwara. The world is my Gurdwara. So जिहड़ी चार कंधां या गुरुद्वारे दियां, it's tragically become just a building that we give this super glorification to, super importance to. It is they're run like businesses, commercial businesses. I'm paying £1,000 to some mysterious god who lives in this Gurdwara, who I've got access through a committee in order to get access to his specialist Bani.
Jagdish Singh, if I just cut in there, I mean, surely people go with Shraddha and they go to, do their puja,
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Matha Tekana in the Gurdwara?
Well, what can be achieved by bowing the head when the heart is impure? Sis navaye kiya tiye jahir ridde kusudi jaye. So I can go to Gurdwara, 100 bari mathe tek lama main. Mathe teki jawa, uth ke teki jawa. In fact, when I go to the Gurdwara, in fact, you know what I do? I don't actually go and do matha tek. I go to the back where nobody can see me, and I sit at the back, and I just quietly sit and focus on the Gurbani. And then I get up without any of these rituals. Ki meri pith na idhar nu ho jave ya udhar nu na ho jave. Quietly get up and then I leave. Because I don't even main Darbar Sahib gaya si a couple of years ago. My wife had an argument with me. Tu matha kyun nahi tek raha? Go in the Darbar Sahib and do the matha tek. I said, menu e bhavna, mere dil ch bhavna nahi hegi. I'm not going to line up ritualistically and walk down to go and do a matha tek. There's something that I treasure inside me. That's in my heart. I'm not going to go through these motions. Gurbani quite powerfully and quite rightly said कि ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਥਾਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਕਈ ਕੁਝ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ they go away and they get back home business as usual, go back to their own lives. Now Gurbani refers to them as daddu, as frogs. Why? The frog, according to Gurbani, is such a creature. You can take the frog out of the dirty water, take him into the clean water, but the frog habitually will say, I don't want to stay in the clean water, I want to go back to where I'm comfortable, the dirty water.
The viewers out there, this is pretty kind of challenging stuff from Jagdis Singh, and I know that a lot of people out there may feel insulted by this, they may feel affronted by this, that what Jagdis Singh is saying. We will be taking some calls later on, and we want to hear from you as well. What do you think? Do you think that we've turned the Gurdwaras into mausoleums? In fact, what she's saying, we've turned them into dead places, into buildings for ritualistic worship. Or do you disagree with Jagdis Singh? Do you think that the Gurdwaras really have a powerful role, and part of that is to go there and pay penance and matha tek? So again, this is for...
We don't want complaints. We want suggestions, ideas.
Yeah.
Let me come in here. I can see why Jagdish Singh feels the way he does. I can see that. I can relate with that, because for a lot of the next generation, that is what Gurdwara are. They now see them as a rather than a place for peace, and shanti. They see it as a place of conflict. My Gurdwara experience is somewhat different. I was just going to come to you, Harjinder.
You do Kirtan, you do Katha. What does Gurbani says about the Gurdwara?
Well, the thing is, I agree with exactly what Jagdish Singh has said, in that the world is my Gurdwara. But what I take inspiration from is by Gurdas, who says Kar Kar Andar Dharmsal. And I was just coming to my Gurdwara experience being very different. So I don't know when I last went on a Sunday morning program other than a wedding. Tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, every Saturday we do Kirtan at Nanak Sar up on Waterloo Road. And when you do Kirtan there in the morning, the Ragis sit in front of the Guru Granth Sahib and they face the Guru Granth Sahib, and you walk in, you do Kirtan, and there's no announcements, no speeches, it's a very, very peaceful affair. Since 2009, we've been doing our Sadiwar at home every Sunday morning. What's happened over time is there's quite a few people who come to listen to the Sadiwar, and that's in our home. So that's why I say I take inspiration from Bhai Gurdas's statement that
the etymology of the word Gurdwara, Gurudware hoye soji paisi. Dwar is like door, isn't it? It's Sanskrit for door. So the Gurdwara is actually the place where you get enlightenment.
The Gurdwara for me is the place where I try to connect with my Guru. And I need to go at a time when I feel I'm able to do that. And that's the Saturday morning experience. The Sunday morning, 12, 11 o'clock experience is not the time where I feel I can connect with my Guru. I can connect with the announcements and the latest appeal and the pledges and the new election statements, but I can't connect with my guru during that time.
But why do you need to go to a building to connect with the guru?
I don't need to go to the building to connect with the guru. I see what you're saying, but I have faith in the Guru Granth Sahib, and I still feel that when I go into that darbar and there's the Guruji and me, that there is a connection there that I'm trying to develop. Now, when I start doing that ritualistically and I, stop treating the Guru Granth Sahib as my guru, as my spiritual master, then, that connection will disappear.
Jagraj, I'm going to come to you. You can pick up but I just want to throw, because part of today's programme is to try and hopefully between us we can enlighten Sangat as to what Gurbani says. We talked about Gurdwara hoye soji paye si. There's in every day ਆਪਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਨੰਦ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਲਈ ਭਾਵ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ 10ਵਾਂ ਦਵਾਰ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ. So again, it's not just about knowledge and gyan soji, which is wisdom, but it's about opening up your 10ਵਾਂ ਦਵਾਰ as well. Again, do you need buildings to do this?
The Gurdwara, the word Gurdwara, let's go back to the word that you used, Dharamsal. Kar and the Dharamsal, which Bhai Sahib said, and again, he said, this was 30 Thap Rakhi Dharamsal. If you look at the word Paksal, it's a place where you learn to cook food. If you look at the word Dharamsal, it's a place where you should learn how to do Dharam. So your practice of that Dharam is outside the Gurdwara, in the general world, but you learn Dharam in the Gurdwara. So in a way, it's a training place, like a training academy of the Guru. So you go into that place, and that's where it comes in what you're saying, ki Guru Dware hoye soji paisi. So you go to that place and learn about what is Dharam, whether it's your spiritual path, because obviously, je tusi dekh lo, je koi pankhi hove, je Gursikh pankhi hega, pankhi hega, te ode ko do pankh hege ne. Ek hega spirituality, yeah, onu keh lo piri, yeah, and ithe miri. So je miri di ek piri di. So those are the two things you need in this school. So the school should be training you spiritually, morally and socially, so you can do those meaty piri outside as well. Now when it comes to the meaty side, the worldly stuff, it's pretty failing in that, I would say, that in terms of teaching you how to be a good person.
We'll go to the problems in a minute.
Ecology,
Jagraj, we'll go to the problems. Let's just we want to define, as a scholar yourself, that we can only discuss something, we define it.
So the second part of that is the Sangat, so which is spirituality.
Yeah.
Je spirituality wa jaiye, then if you look at Hontusi kya ki ek uttam panth sunyo Guru Sangat, tehe milan jam tras mitai. So the Sangat, the Gurdwara is supposed to provide that Sangat, like Gurudev Mata, Gurudev Pita, and that Shabad which is Guru. At the end, Maharaj says, Gurudev's Sangat Prabh Mel, Kar Kirpa Ham Mood Papi Chit Lag Tara. So the Sangat, the point of the Sangat is to actually get together, ikat hove. Hona Bhai Sahib is doing it at his house when they did Kirtan, but Ohi Sangat, what the Gurdwara provides is a place to do Sangat on a bigger scale. So like he can't fit that many people into his house. So for me, the Gurdwara is a place where I go to get Sangat. And that's why on a Sunday evening.
Jagraj, we often see people worshipping the buildings of Gurdwara. Is that okay?
Worshipping the building?
Yeah.
Matha tek Kandan and so forth.
Is that okay?
नहीं देखो जेरे लोग की मत्था टेकने हैं कि जिਵੇਂ कंध जिਵੇਂ steps ਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਫੇਰ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਗਲਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖੋ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ is saying, Bhai Gurdas is saying ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਖੱਲੋ ਮੁੰਜਣੇ ਗੁਰਸਖ ਹੰਡਾਉਂਦੇ. He said take my skin when I or maybe not before he's dead, but I guess maybe after he's dead, make him into shoes, and the Sikhs walk with those shoes so that the sant di rain, that he goes, ki the people that get the sant rain on their matha, Mastag Pag, Mastag Lage Sant.
But let's just come to that one. Let's just come to that because I think that's important. Because at the one hand, as Jagdis was saying, that in Sikhi it says we should avoid rituals.
That's not a ritual. To actually answer
and puja, is there a place for puja in Sikhi? Because that seems like a form of puja.
No, we worship our Guru. I mean, Guru Meri Puja, Guru Gobind, Guru Mera Par Brahm, Guru Bhagwan.
This is where
we worship our Guru.
This is where we're going to differ, because the bricks that hold up this building, or the bricks from wherever they've been produced unecologically, or they've been taken wrongly from cheap labour and whatnot, I do not treat, personally, this is a personal opinion, मेरी कोई शरदा नहीं किसी गुरुद्वारे दी इट लई, मेरी कोई शरदा नहीं कि गुरुद्वारे दी कंस्ट्रक्शन किवें होई है. मेरी शरदा कुछ वो है चीज़ विच ओहदे विच लंगर गरीब नूं मिल रहा, उत्थों कीर्तन हो रहा, उत्थों सेवा संभाल हो रही है किसी दुखी दी, उत्थे बेइंसाफी दे विरुद्ध आवाज़ उठ रही है, कि उत्थे कोई बाग भी है गुरुद्वारे विच कि नहीं है. Those are the things that will attract me. Yeah, किदां दा dialogue हुंदा. I'm going to make a confession here. I go and meet with the Quakers on a regular basis. ਉਹ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਗੋਲ ਚੱਕਰ 'ਚ ਬਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਘੰਟੇ ਲਈ ਚੁੱਪ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਕੇ. And you can get up and you can speak from your heart and your mind. ਉੱਥੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲ ਰਿਹਾ.
So you mean to say you get more reflection about yourself, like
myself share and they ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ.
Okay, let me
Bani
take
Bani
that point.
Dasanu.
Well, let me take that point because Singh Sabha Gurdwara just recently, in fact, yesterday, had this really beautiful welcoming of Buddhist monks. I think there were 40, 50 Buddhist monks. And so, were the dharamsalas, were there spaces for interfaith dialogue, exchange, learning?
No,
and if so, where's that happening now?
Our Itihas is full of incidences when Maharaj has had someone visit them from one of the dharam and had questions. Even the famous Kahani of Sutresha, who's a bit of a comedian, you know, on a Sikh background, but he's always been there, and people have come to meet the meet Guru Sahib and do a bit of Shabad Kosh or Khoji with them and ask them questions. So this always happened. It doesn't happen anymore because we don't really, when we do interfaith dialogues outside now, it's a very superficial level. I find them not very engaging because you're not actually delving into anything deeper because it's very polite, you don't want to offend anybody. So therefore it's not really a debate. But the Sikhs, like for example, if you Gyani Dit Singh dekho, Gyani Dit Singh was always engaging in debates, but these were debates that lasted hours, and they were the kind of, you know, at the beginning of the Singh Sabha movement, these are people that would take on debates. Yeah. So this is not really happening. The academic level, whether it's debating societies in Gurdwara, I don't see those nowadays.
Harjinder, have we turned the Gurdwaras into business then?
Well, I'll come to that in one moment. Let me just pick up on this point about interfaith dialogue. If we go back 150 years, and Apardas which kaida chonkiya chande bunge jugo jugotal, jere bunge ne. My Vidyadata, Professor Santokh Singh, he referred me to his Vidyadata, Professor Ram Singh from Delhi University, and he's written a book just called Ardas, and every single akkar jera Ardas de vich hega on, you know, he's written pages and pages on that akkar. So he spoke about the bunge, and what he said was that if we go back 150, 200 years, jere, you know, the rooms on the Prakarma, yeah. Koi Sufiyan da bunga siga, koi sadhuan da, koi jogiyan da, and they knew that they could come to Darbar Sahib and they could stay there for, you know, a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then if we look at, you know, Robert Cust, who written, I wrote an eyewitness account of the Kirtan he saw at Darbar Sahib, and he writes that then the Muslims came, and the Sikhs called them Rababis, and they're the descendants of Mardana. So Musliman utte Kirtan karde sige. And, you know, in the same way, we see eyewitness accounts from the British of Hindu peers, you know, Hindu sadhus coming and jogis doing kirtan there. That's interfaith dialogue.
Let me take that. Let me, Jagraj Singh, have we become intolerant? I mean, is that the problem? It seems to me that we've, I mean, you talk about interfaith dialogue and that historically the Gurus had interfaith dialogue, yeah? But we actually wouldn't allow those people on the stages today. We would say, you're not, Amritari Sikh, your Maryada says you're not allowed to sit on the stage. Have we become an intolerant faith?
We've become a lot of things. You know, so, you know, we're sitting here jumping from topic to topic. I think we've become a lot of things. We've become intolerant, yes, to openness.
But I'm thinking in terms of the Gurdwara itself. The
Gurdwara, the reason the Gurdwara itself, the reason why it's intolerant is because it's not led by leaders. So the people that make a decision that we're going to do this, they're not really leadership type based people. So what they are is they're just managers. They manage the environment. And as any manager would tell you, they don't want to make anything which rocks the boat. So therefore, they don't want to take anything. Because if somebody complains, if even 2 people complain in Gurdwara, the committee, to just feel like, oh, shut the program down. Instead of telling that person, well, that your complaint is not really justified as per Gurdwara. If somebody came to me and said, you said this, and I don't agree with it, or maybe I could say like, okay, you know what, there's this Bani which explains that you can't say that. For example, there was a Bhai doing Kirtan last week, and she was doing Waheguru Simran, and she kept saying, Allah, Waheguru, Waheguru, Ram, Waheguru, and somebody felt a bit, some people felt offended. But we were like, well, dekho Bani which koi bole Ram, Ram, koi kada. So we have to tell that person that your complaint is not really justified. The problem with the people that are now at Gurdwara nowadays, they don't tend to be of that type. So they don't look at the complaint and say, well, you know, this is not justified as per Itihas, as per Gurbani. So therefore, we're not going to take that complaint. What they do is, oh, we're rocking the boat, Sangat's getting upset. Why Sangat getting upset is important? Because the Sangat gives the paise that feed the Golak. So because they're so tied to that, keeping the Sangat happy, They just can't.
Okay, I mean,
so Sikhi gets sacrificed
that's a really
for the sake of
segue to move on
an
to
educated, uneducated Sangat.
Okay, let's move on, because just to remind the viewers out there, you know, there's some pretty serious challenges taking place in this program, and we have to do that because, you know, if we don't ask serious questions, whether it's a company, a business, a university, or even a religion, if we don't ask serious questions about where we're heading, then, you know, we will do so at our pedal. But we will explain, we will take some calls as well from you. So, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਲਾਂ ਵੀ and ਮੈਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੋ phone, because, you know, here's some serious challenges. Harjinder, I'm going to come to you now. As Manjit's already kind of throw the question, but let me just give a bit of context to this. I know that you, last year, you actually wrote a paper and you've done some research. You've actually done some quantitative research on the economy of the Gurdwaras and the whole kind of financial structures. And you've actually identified some very worrying trends. And I did share some of that, and also your thoughts about the whole kind of financialisation of the Gurdwaras.
Yeah, what we did last year was I gave a talk at the University of Warwick, and I collected. It started off as kind of manually collecting the financial accounts of 127 Gurdwara. Since then, I've got 253, and at that time it was accounts up to 2012. Now I've got 2013, and it's got to a point where I, regularly receive the accounts of all the Gurdwara. And what we did was an analysis of the accounts to understand. I mean, I'm not an accountant, so we need someone who understands the accounts a lot better than me to do this kind of analysis. But there were a few students who helped who do study accounts. And what we found was that on average, the difference, between income and expenditure over a year in a Gurdwara was £93,000. Now, that might not seem like much, but you've got to bear in mind, A, some Gurdwara had, 1.2, 1.5 million pounds, of revenue each year that just goes straight into the bank account, and that there's a lot of very small Gurdwara which had a very, their kind of revenue stream was about £5,000 a year. So when you take, when you take that average out, £93,000 is actually quite a lot. And what that does is it makes you, we keep saying, right, that, that there's Jagreta hunde because of the money, because of Jodhar, because, this, that and the other. And that, I think, was the first time where we're actually able to quantify that argument and say that actually here are the figures, and this is why it happens. And if you look at some of the Gurdwara, when you see the balance sheets, it's absolutely staggering, right? And then when you start analysing that and saying, well, that's a lot of money that could be going, as Jagdis Singh says, to the local economy, in not the economy, but the local community, feeding, poor people locally, kind of setting up local charities and supporting them. That's the kind of prachar that I would like to see, and that's the kind of interfaith dialogue.
And we've got a model of that.
See.
I don't know if I've seen the Mikindu Gurdwara in Kenya, where it's the local local Kenyans. They run the Gurdwara with amazing shraddha, and so what you're saying is that, in a sense, there's a huge amount of resource there that's been locked up and not being put to the service of what
there is that. There is something else that I have to add, and that is, this is reported income, right? And I'm not, I'm not going to, I'm not going to speculate or anything, but this is income that is reported on the balance sheets, right? The Gurdwara opens on what we call an open. It's a very open system. It's not a closed system where income comes in from many different directions, right? There is the money that goes into the Golak. There's the money that is handed over to representatives of the Gurdwara, they being members of the committee, the Granthi, the Ragis, and so on and so forth. The money that's collected when you do Kirtan at people's houses, there's money coming in from all different directions.
But you're not suggesting that somehow there's wide-scale corruption?
I'm not suggesting that, but what I'm saying is that in such a system there is always a lot of scope for money not to be recorded properly.
There are lots of probing questions about multiple Gurdwaras where 100,000 here, 200,000 there has got misappropriated, misplaced, misspent, and like you say, every time.
Is that hearsay, or have you got?
It's not hearsay. It is not hearsay. I'm not going to go into the individual names and specifics of individual Gurdwara here or there, because it will open us up to all sorts of complications. But the reality is, Gurdwaras are not transparent. They say they're transparent. ਹੁਣ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ 50,000 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਦਾ ਕਾਰ ਪਾਰਕ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਲਈ, ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾ ਦਿਓ ਪੈਸੇ, ਪਾਈ ਚਲੋ ਪਾਈ ਚਲੋ ਪਾਈ ਚਲੋ, ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. I'm not checking ਕਿ ਕੋਰਟਸ 3-4 ਥਾਵਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਲੈ ਰਿਹਾ. ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਮਿੱਤਰ ਦੋਸਤ ਕਾਰ, ਸਾਡਾ ਹੀ ਭਾਈ ਬੰਦ ਹੈ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨੇ ਸਸਤਾ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ 50 ਚ, ਜਿੱਥੇ 1 ਲੱਖ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਭਾਈ ਨੇ 50 ਚ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ. Materials, tendering systems, inspection systems.
Jagdish, I know that you're
none of this.
in immigration law, and
Working employment, immigration, lots of
but
areas.
there is some suggestion that possibly the whole how we get kind of visas as well, that may be another way in which
the UKBA, the Home Office, has already declared certain Gurdwaras, I've not said this, they themselves have withdrawn immigration licenses from prominent Gurdwaras in the UK. Why? Because immigration malpractices are going on, and there is massive anecdotal evidence of that, and there is systematic evidence of that. Again, I'm not going to be drawn into name them or do this to them. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੋਰਡਾਂ ਤੇ ਚਿੱਠੀਆਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ.
So I think for me, like, even if, to be honest, like let's say the Gurdwara haven't got a perfect system for financial governance, and they don't report all the fact is they're failing as a Gurdwara in itself, because they don't even actually teach Sikhi. So let's say all that stuff was going on, right? Let's just say nothing changes apart from the fact that when you go into Gurdwara, you learn Sikhi, right? And that, for me, even that will be tolerable.
But isn't
just as long as a Gurdwara is teaching. The problem we've got now,
though, isn't it?
Yeah,
We've turned the Gurdwara into
this is a multiple collapse.
Isn't that the question?
Multi-featured collapse.
The point is that I think the Sangat themselves have now lost track of what a Gurdwara could be like. Now, some of these things can be sorted out very easy. We talked to last year when I went to the talk by Harjinder Singh. He's now agreed today that I can make it live. I've had it on the YouTube channel. So we'll make it. Tonight we'll put it live. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to ask you.
But let me just
to the viewers. We've got an exclusive here.
Just
tell the viewers the exclusive that we've got.
So Jahan Bhai Harjinder Singh ने पिछले साल एक talk दी थी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਟਾਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਲਾਈਵ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਗਰੀ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈਗੇ, ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, but now we put it live. You can watch that, and all the detail, the research that they put is on there, the data. My point is that even some of that stuff, for example, little technology, like there's automatic money counting machines. You could just put that under the golok, right? Dig a hole there, put the machine there, put the golok on top. Money goes in, gets counted, and then you get a receipt. Don't have to have all these people sitting there in a room counting.
Well, should there be so much money? There's a powerful ethical question. Should I be paying a Gurdwara committee in order to do a part? Is Gurbani being sold to the world?
The golok is slightly different to what you're talking about in terms of you paying money for parts. I don't agree with the idea of selling part or selling Bani. I think we should be encouraging.
So the Gurdwara be this big financial institution, multi-million-pound institution?
Well, the Gurdwara should be a multi-million-pound institution. However, they shouldn't be charging for part. The point of it is, what do you do with it? Money is never a problem if you use it for the right thing.
Okay.
My point is that the way that it's being used at the moment is basically to collect money from the Sangat. They don't actually know what to do with it. So what they do with that money is they end up spending it on buildings, because they don't quite know what to do. It's not just a building,
it's what we do. I mean, let me give you another. When I was growing up in this country, we had to go to the Gurdwara. There was one hall, maybe 2 halls, and there was one Guru Granth Sahib Ji.
Yeah.
Now in Gurdwaras we have multiple halls, and in some of the halls we have multiple Guru Granth Sahib Jis.
So they don't know what to do with the money. That's what my point is. They don't know what to do. They know how to make money, charge you for content. Now I've done a bit of research on this, and I've actually put it on the channel. But basically it started off like this. Initially people got little Gurdwara, they got together, a couple of 10 families together. They all put, like literally they put as much money as they could to get a building. Even they bought an extra house, they all put the mortgage on their own names. They remortgaged their own houses to get a Gurdwara. So Tanapag for those people that actually did that.
Yeah.
When they got the little buildings going, then what would happen is people from outside were coming in and using the Gurdwara, right, but not contributing.
Yeah.
So these 10 families were saying the whole thing with no one. So they were like, you know what, we've got this account part going on. We've got to get these people to pay up to help us. So they started charging. Okay. Now the Gurdwara are solvent. They don't have big mortgages. Most of them already paid off.
Yeah.
So, but they don't know how to stop that taking money.
Jagraj, you just been involved with the Sultan election. What do you think? What's your thoughts about it?
Well, it's been a big learning curve. People have said, well, you should have known all this stuff already. Fair enough, but sometimes you hear about it, but it's not until you're in the fire that you realise what it's like. So for all of our
because
sevadars,
you initially had high hopes, because we did a program as well in Sheffield where we had what's his name from Vancouver,
Gurinder Singh from
Gurinder
Calgary.
Singh, and then you were going around membership and you had 30 people ready to stand.
Yeah.
And at the end there were just 4 people there.
Right,
standing.
so we realised that actually the family pressure thing is big in communities, right? People aren't, our youth, or let's say, when I say youth, I mean it loosely, because there's some people in their 40s that are like, but they're still susceptible to a lot of family pressure, a lot of family, a lot of our family, one of our friends said to me, he said, look, if I go every day to feed the homeless every Sunday, even if I get beaten up for feeding the homeless, none of my family are going to complain that I go and feed the homeless.
Yeah.
If I go and try to get involved in Gurdwara politics, they'll all complain. Right? So the problem is we're not actually as a community realizing this problem is so deep, it needs a complete overhaul. In order for us to have a complete overhaul, we're going to have to sacrifice a lot of time and
Hang on a
effort.
minute, we had an election, you know, we had 2 groups, Barge Group and who's the other group? Share Group. They offered their manifestos. They had 10,000 people voted. The best manifesto won. They're all now together. They're all kind of patting each other on the back, and you know, we've resolved it. Isn't actually this a good system then?
No, okay, look, the Gurdwara system is threefold. First is a problem with the membership system. Second is the problem with the actual committee system. And thirdly, the election itself. If I'm going to start with the membership, it should not be the case that membership is only open for 3 weeks or 4 weeks in a year, in every 3 years. So you can't actually walk into a Gurdwara nowadays to become a member. They say, sorry, come back when the membership is open. Which makes no sense, because if you're a regular goer of that Gurdwara, you should be able to become a member whenever you want. The Jews have a system. If somebody told me, the synagogues have some systems whereby if you become a member, you get a membership card. When you go to the synagogue, you click in. They scan your card, and you go in, and you come out, you scan out. Then they can work out how often you've been to the synagogue.
And could that be anybody?
No, hold on.
Could that be anybody? Could anybody who goes to the Gurdwara be a member then? Or has
Anybody can become a member who goes there regularly. For example, we've got Singhs here that go there all the time, but they don't live in that catchment area.
Okay.
So the people are driving into the Gurdwara for Amrit Vela or going, and they're involved in the Gurdwara, but they can't have a voice.
But what about non-Sikhs who go regularly?
If they're non-Sikhs that go regularly, then they're probably becoming Sikhs. Anyway, leave that aside for a second, because there's probably a very small percentage of it. Now, my point is this. Only those people that go regularly to the synagogue are allowed to vote. Do you understand? They don't allow people that
Do they have to be a Jew or not, or can they be a non-Jew?
They have to be Jews. But point is, if in a Gurdwara, we could have the same thing. If you're a Sikh, you can become a member. If you regularly attend, you can vote. If you don't regularly attend that Gurdwara, you only go once a year or whatever, then
So
you're not. There's no need for you to have a voice in that.
50,000 people go there. But yeah,
Regularly.
Right, but 50,000 people don't become members. Because most of the people that go there a lot, the fact is, the Sangat that go there the most don't become members.
It's the older generation,
It's
though,
the
regulars
people who have
as well.
families. I've seen people become members who've never gone to, who don't go to Gurdwara hardly ever.
Okay.
Their families tell them, become a member. They take them, they drive the whole family down, everybody puts £5 down, they don't even pay some of that. Sometimes that money is given to them. Do you understand? A family of 5, they're given 50 quid. Jao, bana membership. The point is, that's happening is, firstly, membership should be open to nearly anybody who regularly attends that Gurdwara, right? Secondly, when it comes to membership committees, right, the problem we've got now is you've got 2 people going for as a group. So you've got 21 people from this share group, 21 people from the Bhai group. Let's just say any Gurdwara. They're competing for running the Gurdwara. But actually, what you need is one person to say, I'd like to offer my services as secretary. And somebody says, I will offer it. And 3 or 4 people say, I'd like to be secretary of Gurdwara. And then you put their CVs up, and you choose who is going to be the best person to be the secretary. It shouldn't be that you have to come as a group, because why is it relevant? Maharaj says in Bani, ki aayi panti sagal jamati. Manjit, you're supposed to be one group. Ek pita ekas ki hum barik. So actually, it makes no sense to divide the Sangat into share versus Baj. What there should be is, Flana person is very good at admin, very well respected, stands up and says, I want to be a secretary. Whoever comes in and gets elected into that system, they run the Gurdwara.
Let me, Harjinder.
So it's to do with politics end of the day.
It's the end of politics, end of
what you're
Jathibandiyan, end of
offering is what we
Tadewaji.
do in professional circles.
Professional circles, even my university,
Yeah.
even at Oxford, I mean, this is, okay, fine, it's Oxford, but regardless, even at Warwick, I'm sure it's the same. Even a student body for 19-year-old university students, when they stand up to become the head of the sports body, or they stand to become head of the entertainment club, they do not stand as a group.
right.
They just stand as an individual, and then they get questioned by the Sangat on their individual skill set. They have a CV, they have to tell why they're
But I've
Harjinder,
got a
it's
step
simple.
further.
Why don't we implement it so simple?
now you've got. Let me just explain to you how it works at our Gurdwara. these 21 people that came in now, they did not even appoint who was going to be who until they got elected.
Oh.
Right.
Then they said, we're going to make Flana person the secretary,
Okay.
Flana person is going to become the sports person, the Flana person is going to head up the youth committee. They did not even announce to the Sangat that you are electing these 21 people with these roles. All their CVs. No one knows anything about
So isn't
their
this a
CVs.
scandalous corruption
Not
of the Gurdwara
corruption,
management?
it's just a completely, the system is broken, and yet we don't even realise what a system could be like. This is about educating the Sangat.
And this is a Sangat allowing this to go on.
Sangat doesn't even know
He just, yeah.
what else is out there. They've only ever seen this.
They don't know
Sangat
what the
has voted
options are.
them in.
What
The
Jagraj is
Sangat has
saying,
voted them in because they've got no choice. It's like saying to see do you want a lion or do you want an eagle?
There's
It
this
doesn't make sense, does
They're
it?
like, why do I want? Just give me the best person for the job. Well, you can't have it. You've got to choose lion or you've got to choose an eagle.
I think we're in an idealistic bubble here where
It's realistic. That's what the world does.
ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਗਤ ਵੀ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਸੰਗਤ ਉਹੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਔਨ ਮੈਸ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਾ ਕੇ
So, you can't. I don't blame the Sangat.
ਸੁਣੋ ਇੱਕ ਥਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਭ ਥਾਂ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਥਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਭ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ
ਸਭ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ।
ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੀ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ
Who designed it? Though?
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਗੰਭੀਰ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗਾ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਆ ਨਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਉਹਦੀਆਂ ਗੰਦਗੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਉਹੀ ਡੱਡੂ ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਡੱਡੂ ਪੁਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ
ਦੇਖੋ ਉਹ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੀ ਗਲਤ
ਤਾਂ
ਹੈ
ਉਹ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੀ ਉਹਨੀ ਗਲਤ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇੱਕ ਯੂਕੇ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ
ਇੱਕ ਮਿੰਟ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ I don't want to criticize here that's born in India. I just want to speak. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ
I spent 11 years in India as well. I can tell you this.
ਸਾਡੇ ਬਾਪ
It's
ਸਾਡੇ
not a
ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ
case of
ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਬਣਾਏ ਆ. You can't accuse them.
but the whole system is rotten and it's designed to be rotten.
No.
And
When it first started, it worked fine.
but
The problem is because they were all families that knew each other, right?
There's no
Now,
checks.
Yeah.
now the
Actually,
Gurdwara
guys,
are much bigger.
let's move
It's a
on.
bigger community.
Okay, let's
Things become very
I have to
complicated now.
just
listening
Yeah.
session.
First of all, I totally agree with what Jagraj has said in terms of individual people stand to say, this is what I want to do, these are my credentials, this is why I'm the right person for the job, and this is what my manifesto is. I would go a step further and I would request that they demonstrate that they have a clean record and they are fit to govern. Because that's one thing that we don't do. So we get these scandalous situations.
Criminal conviction checks.
No,
in
you
there.
get criminal conviction check doesn't actually mean that you're going to do a very good job.
It doesn't, but what it does do...
This system you're saying is even better because not only do you have to demonstrate that you've got a clean record, but actually you've got suitability for the role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we've got somebody who's been picked and they said, okay, somebody's become the general secretary, new general secretary. We don't know what his background is.
Yes.
You see?
And what's
Is that better than selecting?
Let me give you an example,
Let's go
right?
yeah.
You know, a person who's been convicted of, GBH, VAT fraud, and so on and so forth. Would we feel comfortable in them being the treasurer of the Gurdwara? Right. Let me take it a step further. So now they're in position.
Now they're in position. Things are wiped out.
I've seen people who've actually been convicted of fraud, for example, and now I would say that I would trust them. The thing is that people change.
People
in
can
Sikhi,
change.
Mara says,
I'm not saying they can't change. What I'm saying to you is, you put that in front of the Sangat, let the Sangat decide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? If the Sangat decides,
I
if
agree with
he
that.
says, this is what I've done, this is my record,
Yeah.
I've been
So I
since
think-
then doing this, once the Sangat's decided, we can't argue with that. Now, coming back
That's
to the
right.
system of voting, you could take that step further philosophically. You could argue that, well, the Sangat has voted, the Sangat has made the decision, who are we to argue?
The question is,
Right now, that puts us in an ethical conundrum, doesn't it?
It does.
Right, and moving forward, I mean, we're in this position not because people want to do that seva. We're not fighting over seva because that is, it's by definition, it
You don't
doesn't
need
make
to be the
sense.
committee to do seva.
Exactly,
Yeah.
we're fighting because there is money involved.
Yeah.
There is
And
no other
power.
reason.
So it's not just money, it's power, it's influence. It's a congruence of different things, confluence of different things. The point is though, when you have a culture that encourages sardari rather than sevadars, this is the problem. The culture of the committee is that people get put onto a committee. I don't know, Sangat probably don't realize, some of the Sangat probably don't realize, but when they make a committee, they don't pick the best people they feel can fulfill that role.
Yeah, like
they
you
don't
said
say what
earlier.
are picked.
Yeah.
They don't look. What they pick is people that can bring in votes.
But isn't this a failure by the Sangat then?
Hold on. Let me
ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ
finish.
ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਪੈਸੇ ਵੀ ਚੜਾਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ
mathe bhi
But you
tek
gotta let
diye.
me finish, because everybody knows what you're going to say. Your point is very valid, but it's kind of well known. The point I'm trying to say is that when somebody comes onto the committee, often they only come on because they've got a big family and they can bring 100 votes or 200 votes.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're saying, you know what, we need roughly 3,000 or 4,000 to win. If we get that many, we'll definitely win. Now in Southall, if you get 4,000 votes in Southall, as has been demonstrated, you will win. So what you do is you go around getting 21 people, divide it, 4,000 divided by 21, right, is about 200, isn't
You get
it,
vote
per
banks.
person.
You get
so
vote banks.
you get 200, 200, 200.
Okay.
Wait, we've won.
Well, you've diagnosed
It's
the problem.
purely-
We agree that the election system breeds corruption.
It's corruption,
It breeds
yeah.
vote banking and power blocks, and it's against government because it's not based on principles.
But should people be
or
allowed
on
to
talent
vote?
or capability.
That's the question.
So
Should
where
we-
do we go then?
The question here is, should we be allowed to vote? Right, and who should be allowed to vote? So the question first
Is voting even in accordance with Gurmat? Should we be voting the Jathidar of Akaal Takht?
Right, well, okay,
on that?
so India is. I don't want to even get into India. But
Okay.
let's talk about in our local. If we can't sort our local house out, sanu koi hak nahi bahar jaake bolna.
That's right, yeah.
Itthe aap apne kar dekhiye. In our own house and in our gurdwara. And I always think local, yeah, because itthe tusi kuch kar sakde hai. In, for example, South where I come from, here what we've got problem is 50,000 people do tend to go to the Gurdwara once a week or every other week, whatever. They do go.
Yeah.
But only 10,000 will make memberships, right? And out of those 10,000, a lot of those people that make memberships are the ones that have been forced to go and make memberships because the window is so small. Yeah? And also, they're not told why they should become a member. There's never any signs outside. You're not allowed to do any canvassing in the Gurdwara. But there's no information given either in the Gurdwara.
Okay.
There's no explanations given. The whole system, I would say, is actually designed to stop you becoming a member. If you were to look at it from the outside point of view, you would say this system does not encourage membership. It encourages
I know that in the
disenfranchising
past,
people.
I know that in the past you've advocated a Panjipera system. I don't know whether you
Right.
still hold on to that.
No, 100% I hold on to, because that's my guru system. Why would I ever believe anything that my guru's made? The way it should work in a Gurdwara is you've got admin people, i.e. the secretary, the people that announce stuff. They're the admin people. And then you've got the people that actually bring in the Gurmat. At the moment, in every Gurdwara, you can go up to any committee and say, who are the 5 people in your committee that we should be looking to for Gurmat answers? And you know what they will do? Maina dekho. Majority of them will not want to stand up in a Gurmat environment and face the kind of questions that, for example, we get when we go to a place to do talks. If I do a talk for an hour and I say half an hour Q&A, in that Q&A we will face the kind of question that none of these guys ever want to give an answer to. Right?
So what you're saying, we've got 2 tiers. We've got the kind of operational level, where we have people with skills, talents, appropriate skills.
Who should be chosen based upon
and
the
then we get people who are there overseeing the kind of philosophical. But
the leadership. That's the leadership.
If I go on Soho Road out here now and I stop 5 Amartari Gurmukhs, they'll all have a different view.
Right.
One of them will say, "Asi Panjipandi Khandapatha de Pog," the other one say, "Eh badi manamatya." So how are you going to create consensus amongst those 5?
The way it is when you want to, if you want to pick 5 people, before you even pick 5 people, you've got to think of the system designed to pick them. This is where the cause needs to come. How do we actually pick the 5? And this is where the work needs to be done. And when people agree as a group about how to pick the 5, then when you pick the 5, you're going to get a good result.
And the people
Right.
are the Sangat, who are they?
No, so you would have people come together. Let's say, for example, you call a Sarbat Khasa. I'm just saying for a Gurdwara, you just call the Sangat that come, right? So the first thing would be working out who is the Sangat. So then you would get the cards implemented, get everybody to become members, and then regular people. So after a year, you've got the regular Sangat who come together.
Now, one final question.
And then you would say, right, what we need to do now, decide upon a system to pick the leaders. And the system is very simple. I did this in Canada. I did a workshop with the youth in Canada.
So what's the system?
So the system is not it's something I've written down. We just sat down and said, okay, what kind of person would you believe in? We're on a Sangat, and we got them to give us a criteria for the kind of people that they would believe in and follow. And they said stuff like people jehde svere uth ke nitnem karde ne, baniyan kant hongiyan, they know about Gurmat, padhe likhe hege, educated, they can speak. They picked the system. I didn't even say a single word.
Can the BB be in there as well?
I've got the video. I haven't put it up yet.
Can the BB be in there as well?
Hanji. Well, no. Sorry.
No, hang on a minute.
No, the system for the Panj Pyare.
No. Well, we're not talking about Amrit Chikona. We're talking about running a Gurdwara.
Okay, the administration of the Gurdwara. Yeah, but I would still.
If you've got 5 Gurmukhs running a Gurdwara,
Can there be a woman?
should we be because we hardly have any BB in the committees.
Me personally, when it comes to Amrit and Charles, I think stick to Panj Pyare because you're going to cause
Okay, but let's
a big
put that to
fire.
one side.
When it comes to running a Gurdwara, women are obviously intrinsically involved anyway, because most of the people
Are
that
they
you might...
involved because of the langar? They're
No,
in
no,
charge
no,
of the
no, I would
langar?
say
or-
Maybe involved in the decision making. That's
Yeah,
the
that's why
fundamental
they-
question.
Well, let's say, for example, like my organisation, yeah? Let's say me and Baljeet Singh are the main
Okay,
organisation.
I'll tell you what,
Well, the thing... Hold on, let me just...
Okay,
But-
we've got
but-
some calls coming now,
Okay.
so if we can, we're going to take about 15 minutes of calls, and then we will have 50 minutes to respond to the issues. But we have thrown a lot of issues out there to think of.
Okay.
So, as he called, if you're going to call one thing, I'm going to give you a 1 minute, and I want you to give some solutions, because I want to get as many calls in as we can for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll go back to the things here. So, ਪਹਿਲੀ call ਲੈਣੇ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Hello. Hanji, sir, welcome to the program tonight. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Manjit. I'm from Warwickshire.
Hanji, so you've got 1 minute, Manjit. What would you like to say?
I was going to say, since the committees at the moment got away, I was in a situation where I'm a member of a Sangha. I'm not part of any group, nothing like that. I thought I'd go to the Gurdwara and make a difference.
Yeah.
And what happened is, because the Gurdwara's been run by certain members of families, which we've discussed as before,
Yeah.
I was one of 4 people for the names on the list for the committee. We come back the next week, our names were deleted off the list. We came back again the following week, put names on, and then we heard from a member of the current committee that unless you've donated to the Gurdwara already financially, you're not allowed to be part of the committee.
Okay.
So we obviously made a front of that, saying, okay, this is incorrect, this shouldn't be happening. We're members of the Sangha, we should have a right to be part of the Gurdwara, because obviously we're professionals, we know about accountancy and finance, like you discussed before.
Okay.
And then what happened is, the actual choosing of the committee happened at a date which wasn't made public. So the Chori amount of committee, John Lee, all members of the family were back in the same roles again, or if not got different titles.
Okay.
And they kept the Gurdwara in their whole family. Now,
Okay.
how is the outside Sangha? This is a question for all of you guys as well. How can outside Sanghas get elected into a committee to make a difference if there's this kind of wrongness going on, the natural pointing
Okay.
people in there?
I think you've made some good points. Thanks very much. I mean, he's basically backing your argument.
Okay, I'll give an answer to that. Baji, the only way that you will ever change that system is to expose it globally, but also to educate the local Sangat. So the Gurdwara only works because the people in the Sangat go and give it money.
Yeah.
They go matha take. It's not just those families that run the Gurdwara. They might run the Gurdwara, but it's the fuel comes from the Sangat's chadawa.
Jagdis Singh, how do we break the cartels?
Right.
We've got cartels here running the Gurdwaras.
Absolutely. These are commercial mafias. Gurdwaras have been distorted into commercial bases and commercial institutions through and through.
Okay.
Nobody can deny that. The solution, right, we already have a shining...
Keep it brief because I've got another call.
Shining example of that. Gurdwara Sadar Lair. We need in the UK, we are in a sickening condition. Kalle Gurdwara de aa karde ho karde, it's not going to work. Main 10 saal bhi assi aa gallan nu debate karde hona. We need a brave, courageous Gurdwara Sadar Lair to kick out the Masands.
Okay, well, let's take the next call and then we'll pick up. Hanji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hanji Bhai Sahab ji, ji आए नो आखदे थोड़ी Akaal Channel ਤੇ ਨਾ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ?
मैं गुरप्रीत सिंह बोल रहा जी लंदन तो।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਐਂਡ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਐਕਟਿਵ ਸੀ ਜੋ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਭਾ ਦੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ you were in and around. Are you happy now with the outcome?
Yes, because the thing is क्योंकि ਜਿਹੜੀ young ਆਪਣੇ ਜਗਰਾਜ ਸਿੰਘ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਏਟਿਵ ਟੇਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ young ਪਾਰਟੀ ਖੜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫੇਵਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਡਰਾ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੇਮ ਮਕਸਦ ਸੀ ਕਿ young ਬੰਦੇ
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਬੁਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹਾਰ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ
ਕੌਣ
ਜਗਰਾਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ
ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ 4 ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਸੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ 1000 ਵੋਟ ਪਈ ਆ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ 1000 ਵੋਟ ਇਨਟੂ 4 ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਈਚ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਵੋਟ ਆ ਬਾਕੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ 21 ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ ਕਰੋ
ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਕਮੇਟੀ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ
ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਐਂਗਲ ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਐਂਗਲ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਏਜੰਡਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਤੇ ਸਟ੍ਰੇਟ ਫਾਰਵਰਡ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੀਟ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਖਾ ਕੇ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਵਾਈਆਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਸਿਧਾਂਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਕੰਪਰੋਮਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਵਾਈਆਂ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਖਰੀਦ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ
ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿੱਤੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਦੂਜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੀਟ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਖਾ ਕੇ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਲਈਆਂ
Well, you are in the media. You should have more knowledge about it. Rather than
no, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
That's the fact that you can ask in an individual people in the south. So the call I'm going to make.
I would invite the committee ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਣੇ ਆ they could come and
if need to be, then let's have an open debate about this topic.
ਚਲੋ okay good. Just last point because ਸਮਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਹੈ ਜੀ. last point.
ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੋ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ. The first thing is equal representation. Regardless what we discuss, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ constitution ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ youngsters ਦੀ reservation ਤੇ ladies ਦੀ reservation ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਉਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਹੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੇ. ਉਹਦੇ ਦੋ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਆ.
ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ, thank you. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣਾ point. We agree with you. Thank you very much for your call. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ. Harjinder, we need reservations.
Yeah, there's two things that have come out of this experience. ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ what Gurpreet has just said, and I don't know the ins and outs of this. It seems that they stood down.
They stood down for us.
To adjust that, you would never see that.
No, Gurpreet,
that is a very noble.
The only thing I can say about this, I mean, we didn't align to any party. There was 3 parties before. One actually stood down, 2 stayed, and we fought against both of them.
But we all agree with reservations, that we should have reservations for different age groups, different...
Reservations, I don't personally agree with reservations because of the fact that you might not get the right level. But the point is that there should be a general, like, a desire should be that we should have this.
Okay, let's take the next call. Let me take the next call and I'll come back to you. Hanji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Waheguru Ji. Hello. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਤੇ ਲਾਈਵ ਹੋ. ਆਪਣਾ ਨਾਮ ਦੱਸੋ, ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ?
ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਜਤਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਹਰਸਕੂਲ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਜੀ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜਤਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ, ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ? 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗਾ.
ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਪਹਿਲੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਚੈਰਿਟੀ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਉਹ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਬੇਸਿਸ ਤੇ ਰਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ? ਓਕੇ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੈਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਤੋਂ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਦੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜਤਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ 2 ਬਹੁਤ ਅਹਿਮ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛੇ. ਮੈਂ ਹਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ. ਹਰਜਿੰਦਰ, what he's saying is that we've got private gurdwaras.
Well, there are some private gurdwara, but the gurdwara that are officially registered as charities still have no form of governance and transparency. Transparency to us simply means that on the board on a Sunday we put down पिछले हफ्ते इन्ने पैसे आए थे इन्ने खर्चे. That's transparency. We think we've ticked the box, but transparent, but all that money that's coming in that is unaccounted for, we are not fully represented.
So we need hyper transparency.
Even though it's a charity, right, we're still running it like a private business.
I'll give you one example of transparency in our area.
Okay, quickly then I've got.
When you want to put a complaint to the Gurdwara, let's say something went wrong, somebody troubled you, there's no complaints policy. That you get a letter back, thank you, we received your complaint, we'll respond back to you in 7 days. There's no thing saying you will get a call. It just gets ignored.
So we need to modernize our whole system.
There's no system for me to go and check what complaints have been made.
Okay, let's go to the next call then. I will give you guys 15 minutes at the end to pick up all the issues. Hanji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hanji, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਲੋ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਵ ਜਾਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਨਾਮ ਦੱਸੋ, ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਾਲ?
ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 2 ਦਫਾ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਿਆ, ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਾੜਾ, ਮੈਂ ਬੋਲਵਰਹੈਂਪਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲ ਰਿਹਾ।
ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ ਅੱਜ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ? 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗਾ.
ਮੈਂ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਦੱਸੂਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂ।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਲਾਈਵ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਵ ਆ? ਲਾਈਵ
ਉੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਮੋਰੇ ਟੈਲੀਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਆ।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਥੋੜੀ ਘੱਟ ਕਰੋ।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਵ ਆ ਹੁਣ?
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਵ ਹੈ।
ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿਣੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਆ ਵਿਊ ਮੈਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਬੈਠਾ, ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਪਲਿਕੇਟਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ।
ਜੀ ਦੱਸੋ,
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ।
ਉਹ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਇਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਸ਼ਰਧਾਵਾਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਰੈਗੂਲਰ ਜਾਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ ਉਹੋ ਹੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈਣ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਚੌਧਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਹੱਲ ਪੂਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਲੜਾਈ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਰਹੂਗੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਲੀਅਰਲੀ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਰੱਖਿਆ। ਜਗਰਾਜ ਸਿੰਘ, I think he's got support
100%. We've already said, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਸੇਵਾਚਾਰ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ, ਕੋਈ ਚੌਧਰ ਵਾਲਾ, ਕੋਈ ਠੇਕੇਦਾਰ, ਕੋਈ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. So we look for people that want to do seva, and then we only, so the people that we want to pick in our committee, we only want to put people that actually are seva does. We're not interested how many votes you bring. ਆਪਾਂ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ 4 ਲੋਕੀ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ, they only ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ, ਹੈ ਨਾ?
They all start like ਸਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਾ।
No, but the problem is, no, it's true, but what we want to do is change the system. For example, president, प्रधान नु हटाओ. There's no need for pradhan. Panch Paravan, Panch Pradhan, Panche Pavidar. The only Panch in our is our Guru. So the Guru should be the Pradhan of the Gurdwara. And the Sangha should be next.
Okay,
so
let me
therefore,
bring that, Jagdish,
the point is the title of Pradhan should go Das and Das.
Jagdish Singh, we were talking earlier on about the Zapatista kind of a consensus building, no leader, we're all leaders, that kind of system.
No, that system would also fail.
Well, let me just
say Panch Pyare to lead.
चलो सलाह गुरुद्वारे सिंह सभा एक समा सी उस शानदारी सी उदी कि यूके दे विच कोई एक गुरुद्वारा सी ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਈ ਦਹਾਕਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਚੁਣ ਲਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੂਝਵਾਨ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪਰਚੀ ਡੱਬੇ 'ਚ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਰਚੀਆਂ ਕਢਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਪਰਚੀ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ ਕਦੇ ਰੌਲਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆ ਕੋਈ ਝਗੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਏ ਬੜੇ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਦਲ ਕੇ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਤੇ ਲੜਾਈ ਝਗੜੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਮੁੱਚੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੈ कि जे थोड़े योग बंदे ने ना डब्बे च नहीं जा सकते तो गुरु नहीं चुन सकता होर कौन चुनने वाला होगा
Okay, good point. Let's go to the next call. हाँ जी वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
हाँ जी प्रचार रखो तुसी अगे
हाँ जी वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
हाँ जी भैन जी तुसी नाम दसो कित्थों करदे हो
हाँ जी मेरा नाम कुलवंत कौर I'm calling from Darlington and I've probably connected with most of you who are sat there online at some point with my views.
So what would you like to say, Kulwant Kaur ji?
I'd also like to say I back up everything that's basically been said. The election system is absolutely not right at all and it does create the corruption. In our local Gurdwara I also put forward a form which would give the Sangat representation, views, written responses, and it was not used on the day of the June. I'd also like to say there's a big issue. There's loads in the Gurdwara jithe apni beadbi vi hundi, disrespect for Guru Granth Sahib because the wrong people are basically leading the Gurdwaras. So there are a lot of issues there. I also agree with Jagraj Singh ne kiya apne CV system use karna to have the best people chosen and get rid of this group mentality. This X versus Y. It should be a joint effort to do seva. So people don't need to split themselves up into groups. It should be the concept of Sangat. So all the views you've given, I would totally back them up. But we need to see the change there. And I would, personally, my view is I'd rather have non-Punjabi professional people, maybe not even, they don't even have to be Sikh, managing the Gurdwara, just like other professional charities are run.
Okay, thank you very much, Kulwant Kaur ji. I'm going to put that point. Should we outsource the management of the Gurdwaras?
Controversially perhaps, I like that. If there is someone willing to stand up in the community who isn't a Sikh, who is has excellent financial knowledge of managing finances.
We do it in universities, we do it everywhere.
And distributing finances and getting money for projects and tendering that. I don't care if it's a Sikh or a Jew or a Muslim.
I disagree, but I qualify disagree.
Let's pause that. Let's take the last call and then we've got 15 minutes. Hanji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਆ
ਵਾਹਿ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿ ਫਤਿਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿੰਗਸਟਨ ਅਪਨ ਥੈਮਸ ਤੋਂ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਦਾ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਰੱਖੋ ਆਪਦੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਦੱਸੋ ਜੀ ਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ
ਭਾਜੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦੋ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਇੱਕ ਬਾਕਸ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਚਾਰਜ ਬਣਾਉਣ where we can make complaints ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟ ਕਿ ਵਾਪਸ ਜਵਾਬ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਵੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ
ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ
ਕਮੇਟੀ ਚ ਉਹ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਲਈ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਲੀਡਰਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਆਂਗਾ ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਕੁਝ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੋ ਵੀ ਮਸਟ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਲਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਦੇਈਏ ਕਿ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਕੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕੀ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਆਈ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਵਾਬ ਕੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤੇ ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਕੋਈ ਸੁਜੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਬੋਡੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ ਕੰਟਰੋਲਿੰਗ ਦਾ ठीक है जुगराज जे बंदे बड़े पढ़े लिखे बड़े सियाने बड़े गुरसिख ने इन्हां से सेवा भावना करते हैं बट क्योंकि सेवा तुहानूं पता है कि जो मनी इनवॉल्व होंदी है उत्थे बड़ा कुछ होर गलत भी होंदा है एंड आई एम श्योर दे आर नो वांट टू डू ऑल दिस थिंग्स बट जे कोई इंडिपेंडेंट बॉडी आनी है वो सब कुछ कंट्रोल कर सकती है क्योंकि करना तो ये ग्रुप से पोलिटिकल ग्रुप से करते हैं बट उन्होंने कंट्रोल लिए एक इंडिपेंडेंट पार्टी समझ चाहिए है हु कैन कंट्रोल दैम हु कैन सी दैम व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन ते मेरे सामने वही उन्होंने को आंसर मंगे
Okay,
my
guys,
position.
thank you very much. You've got some very So if we could just kind of we were talking about Khalsa. If you want to come, as Mafi Mangda Thortna, we've got last 15 minutes. A lot of issues now. We're going to kind of come to some kind of a forward, how we move forward and some kind of concrete ideas. Lots of
pick up on that point.
One other thing as well that came out of this discussion. If committees possibly aren't the way forward, and we need to go for quality, then the data is the way forward, isn't it? We have Mahapurush, Gurmukh Ponchireya, that they should be dictating and they should be selecting because they've got the gift to select the right people. Isn't that? And in fact, where you have a Mahapurush and the Gurdwara, you have no Jagraj.
Not while they're alive.
Yeah.
All right. So the problem is when they die.
So after they pass away, then the Jagraj in most dairy start, and they start at another level, at a level that we haven't.
So they
even
make up
seen
for all the
before.
years that they've been frustrated.
Shut down.
Leadership passover है ना, उसका कोई system नहीं है passover करने वास्ते. They forward planning भी होनी चाहिए. That's why I say go back to Guru system of Panch Pyare. जे पांच प्यारे होन गुरुद्वारे विच एक कोई सिस्टम होवे चुनने वास्ते. Then if one pyare decides, what, I've had enough, I want to retire, then you get the next one in.
But can't there be bias as well?
Sorry?
The Panch Pyare themselves, they belong to one Jatha from the...
No, but the system you would make is designed. The thing here is that we haven't got time here, we've got 15 minutes left. But there is, for example, in Calgary, when I was in Toronto for the camp, there was a whole bunch of people there, and we went through the criteria for the Panch Pyare. Now, when the criteria for the Panch Pyare is chosen, you can then say, okay, let's say you've got 10 people that fit the criteria, then you only pick those people that actually are able to. So one of the criteria might be people that are prepared to compromise. So the criteria might be said, loki 10 ਹੈਗੇ, but ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ 5 ਹੈਗੇ ਉਹ ਥੋੜੇ ਕੱਟਰ ਨੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੇ compromise ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ. They can't work together because how the Panch Pyare have to work is like a fist. Yeah, they have to work together. There can't be one person out here saying, I'm not really part of this decision. They all have to be unanimous. That's how the Panth used to work. The Panth used to work this way. The Panch Pyare would go into a room and they were not allowed out until they came out with a consensus, the decision. So firstly, you need to have people that are actually able to compromise. And there are some people in our Panth that are very chardikala, that are very naam rasiya wale, but they do not compromise. And they're not prepared to accept the system as it is now, hukum. As and for me, then they can't be part of the Panch Pyare because you don't need. At that point, they can be chardikala in their own sangat, but in a consensus environment, you need people that can actually. Okay,
Jagdish, I want to come to you. Last year, Bhai Harjinder Singh from the Sikh Research Institute did a very powerful lecture himself on the Gurdwara, and he kind of said that the Gurdwara is an evolving institution. It started off as a dharamsal, फिर मंजियां थापियां गईयां सिखियां. There were seats of learning. उस तो बाद किले बने सके. They became fortresses to train and to fight. And today we've got kind of what you might call complexes where people go on a Sunday or Budan Mashi or... So we've kind of evolved. Where do we need to evolve the Gurdwara? Because if you don't evolve, you have to evolve to survive.
Well, a Gurdwara essentially, from all the experience, historical, current, modern, is that the Gurdwara is a centre of social service, social community and social activism. Now, a Gurdwara, in order to be an effective, meaningful and relevant institution in today's day and time, as in the past, has to respond to the needs of the human population around it, right? Now, if a Gurdwara is not going to help me when my sister gets murdered, if a Gurdwara is not going to help me defend my human rights, if a Gurdwara is not going to help me protect the environment, if the Gurdwara is not going to help me provide food to the poor, then why am I going to this failed institution? Right? Now, I'm not attacking the Gurdwara as a Gurmat institution. I'm actually attacking the way it's been rotted down.
Lack of vision, the lack of vision.
Yeah, lack of vision and the misuse of the Gurdwara. Now, until we get the Gurdwara back into as a Gurdwara, we're going to wrangle, we're going to have vakriyan vachara, edda hove, oh hove, je hove, ja hove. Now, I'm going to say again clearly, I don't see a solution to this because the very people, there is a saying, Siane log keh chuke hai, gore bhi keh chuke hai, apne bhi keh chuke hai. The very people, it's like saying to the bankers, the bankers, you created the problem, and now we're going to ask you to create the solution. जिन्हां लोकां ने प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कीती है उन्हां नूं असीं थाप के कहना कि इहदी सॉल्यूशन लभो मूर्खपना है, गैर असूलन चीज़ है. अच्छा, गुरुद्वारा इन द यूके जिद्दां बहादुरी नाल पंजाब च असीं वेखिया, we need to see a Gurdwara Sudhar Lair in the UK. ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਪਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣਗੀਆਂ. ਲੋਕ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਆ. ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ? ਇਹ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਪੈਣਗੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਪਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣਗੀਆਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਪਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਕਲੱਬ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਕਲੱਬ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਜੀ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਦਾ ਅਖੰਡ ਪਾਠ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ 10 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਚੜਾਉਣੇ ਪੈਣੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਰ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਨੇ ਸੱਦਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕ ਲੈਣਾ ਮੁਫਤ ਦਾ ਕੜਾਹ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦ ਵਾਲੇ 10 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਚੜਾਏ ਆਉਣੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਕਲੱਬ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਹਾਲ ਚ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ
Jagraj, we need to reimagine. We need to start from scratch and reimagine what it is.
The vision has to come out in the public. For example, Bhai Sahib was saying about hiring people. For me, I think the Gurdwara needs to be headed by people that are Gurmat orientated. So if you have a complaint, you go to the Panj Pyare of the Gurdwara and you say, "Dekho ji, eh hoya siga, ek Gurmat anusar hai." The Panj Pyare at least can say to you, "Jai si gal kahi hegi hai, ehde itihas vich eda koi there's no big problem about this." Then explain the person, send them on if there's not a problem, or if it is a real problem, ki kisi flana ne kuch enj kitta siga. Then that Panj Pyare are responsible to the Sangat. So the Sangat are linked to the Panj Pyare because they choose them and they feel linked to them because they are Gurmat leaders. When it comes to administration, if the Gurdwara needs a website administrator, hire one. If the Gurdwara needs somebody to be making sure that the facilities are nice and clean, hire someone that can do it. Whether they're sick or not, it makes no difference, as long as they understand the system. Like a school. Sikh schools do that. In Sikh schools, they don't just have Sikh teachers. They need someone to teach maths. They just hire someone who can teach maths. When it comes to Gurmat, you have somebody who's a Gurmat person. So we need to understand how the Gurdwara should be designed and organized
Harjinder,
to be a successful
let me give you some facts.
organization.
The Christianity, yeah. In this, I've done some research. In the last 50 years, 50% of the churches have closed down. In the last 50 years, this is exponential. It's crisis, and also the average age of the congregation in the churches is 65 to 70 years. And when I go to most Gurdwaras, I see some similar patterns in terms of age.
Yes.
I mean, if we don't do something, these things will just...
Big time.
No, what will happen is the Gurdwara will continue running as long as we need them for our weddings. Once we don't need them for our weddings, and there's a generation of kids growing up now saying, why do I have to get married in a Gurdwara? Once we stop giving that 1,000, 1,500, whatever it is, to get that wedding done,
and plus the Akhand Path,
plus the Akhand Path,
plus the
once
ceremony,
that,
naming ceremony, etc.
that ceremonial economy starts going, then we will see exactly that. Because what you're also seeing now, and you know, we're examples of this. We stopped teaching in a Gurdwara 5 years ago. We teach at a school, King Edward School. It's a perfect system. The committee doesn't change. The headmistress has changed once. We pay them rent. They invoice us. We pay them rent. The kids turn up. The doors open every single Sunday, 20 minutes before we get in. The heating is on. It's, you know, what more have we got to complain? Then we've got Singhs who are doing their yoga, their gataka, their martial arts, even Gurbani, Gurmat Vichar classes outside of the Gurdwara, because they're saying, why do we need to do this in a Gurdwara? You know, you just get hassled all the time.
So how many years do you think they would close down the road?
How many years have we got there?
Well,
a generation?
I think it's a generation. I think by the time my kids grow up, you know, heaven forbid, they probably will say, why do I need to get married in a Gurdwara? You know, I can get married somewhere else.
In the registry office, seeing people saying, can we have Maharaj come to our house and do the biyah in our house? Because it's a small family environment. Because when you go to a Gurdwara light,
it's a bit like kind of, Ryanair or something.
I'll give you an example. Even at my local Gurdwara, it was my daughter's first birthday, and I wanted to do the Sukhmani Sada part. We said, look, we want to book it there, but can we do our own part? They said no. Can we have our own kirtanis? They said no. So people are moving to the point, this is not flexible enough for us. Why can't we do that? Because it's becoming, to what Bhai Sahib is saying, a very ritualized organization. However, if, like when I went to Fresno, it's not the Gurdwara, the building is not the problem, the building can become better. When I went to Fresno, at the camp, the 14-year-old kids were doing the Rasab at the front. The Rasab was not run by the party, how it is now, it was run by the young children. The Kirtan started off with the young kids doing Kirtan. In our Gurdwara, we don't even have a weekly kids Kirtan night, which only the kids do Kirtan.
Jagdis, when you talk to the Prabandhaks, you say, why do you bring in youth? Why do you hand over power to the youth? They say, eh hale bacche hot-headed tabai kar deni Gurdwara di. And what do you say to that?
And they've got all the knowledge.
ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਉਹੀ ਡਿਕਟੇਟਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ rhetoric. ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੀ dictator ਲੈ ਲਓ. People don't know, they're not capable, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ. ਉੱਦਾਂ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਟੇਜਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਨੌਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਪਨੀਰੀ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਲਿਆਉਣੀ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਕਰਨਾ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੈਸਲੇ ਆਪ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਂਦ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੇਣਾ। ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਉਹੀ ਗੰਦੀ ਝੂਠਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਔਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਰੁੱਧ। ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਬਾਹਰਲਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਲਵੇ what is the Sikh position on women, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਉਹੀ ਤੁਕ ਸੁਣਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਗੁਰੂ said, he said this and he said equality.
So they're the biggest hypocrites basically.
ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇੰਨੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਇੱਕ ਵੀਰ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਸਲਾਹ ਤੋਂ, I love Sikhi but I don't love Sikhs. Yeah, it's a very profound saying and it really connected to me ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਹਿਣੀ ਰਹੇ ਸੋਏ ਸਿੱਖ ਮੇਰਾ। Yeah, the Guru is connected with the qualities of the human, Rani Rahe, not with the Sikh. Yeah, he's not connected with this physical form of the Sikh. He's not connected with our hath pair. He's connected with our Rani.
Your virtues.
Yeah, virtues. Gur Sikh bano, Sikh aadatan banao, Sikh aadatan bolo karo, gareeb di madad karo, mariyan di sahara karo. ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗਲਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਬੇਇਨਸਾਫੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰੋ। That's why
Can I
Sikhi
take that
flourished.
point? Harjinder, the world is facing recession. There's austerity. People are getting poorer. We've seen all the research. Isn't this a fantastic opportunity for the Gurdwaras to open themselves up to
Can I just
thousands
mention
of people?
what we're doing with Langar Week? We're actually opening up the Gurdwara from 1st to the 7th of November. We're going to be having National Langar Week across the country.
Wow.
We found out a little while ago that the word langar is in the Oxford English Dictionary.
Wow.
Did you know that? In 2008 it was added langar. But no one's even heard the word langar. Now if you go up to a random person, we ask people, do you know what jihad means? They go, yeah, I know what jihad means. But they don't know what langar means. So we decided to set up a week where we just tell all the Gurdwara across the country, open your doors and welcome the population in. And
But why should it be on 1 week in the year?
The point
Why
is,
should it be all the
why
time?
should
Look
it
what's
be-
happening this
should be
week.
regular.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
point
it's
is,
good
it's
point.
a media thing.
Yeah, let's
you
just
have to
start
get it into
somewhere.
media
Why
so
should
people
it be
can know.
one point, and why should they have to come to the Gurdwara? I mean, we have Gurdwaras situated in very poor communities that are run down. You drive through those communities, the walls are vandalized all over the place, the shop, windows are broken. Why is that revenue not being used to regenerate that community?
And that way you would draw people into the Gurdwara as well.
Well, it's not about necessarily drawing people into the Gurdwara. It's telling people this is what Sikhs
Sikhi
do.
is, yeah.
We seem to, all our decision making seems to be centred about how we're going to get those Gore into the Gurdwara. It's not about getting the Gore into the Gurdwara. It's about telling people this is what Sikhs do. Right now, why? Another big problem we've had is, whenever a Naujawan comes
2 minutes
up,
left, so these are your summing up comments.
whenever a
now, yeah.
Naujawan comes up and says, I need money to do this project, where does he or she go to get that money? Not to a Gurdwara, but I've said earlier on, £93,000 on average is the revenue that a Gurdwara has, of which at least 10,000, 20,000 could be put aside to be bid by the Naujawan for their projects,
Well, look
right?
at
But we
Basic
don't
Sikhi,
have.
for example. We're trying to hire pracharis for the country.
Jagraj, you've got 30 seconds for your
There's not
final
one Gurdwara
comments.
in this country that has said, here's a direct debit from us to do prachar. We're teaching their kids on YouTube, wherever they are. Even any of the prachar groups, we haven't had one place say to us, here's even £50 a month, right? The point is the Gurdwara hold on to that money. You go there, do a talk, they'll give you some money, that's it. They're not actually investing as a punt into projects that are needed. Not just like basics, but it's relevant what I think. We're trying to hire more prachariks because we need to do prachar to our youth. And the thing is this is my personal opinion. Sikh kids want to learn about Sikhi. They are dying to learn about Sikhi. They're hungry. And when we teach them about Sikhi, they are so amazed. They're like, wow, it's so amazing. Look, some of the people here that are sitting here now in the audience, they are people that a year ago, or 2 years ago, didn't know anything about Sikhi. Now they're Amritari because they found Sikhi is so amazing. But they didn't know that because no one told them that at the Gurdwara.
So Sikhi is truly amazing. Manjit, I don't know if you want to say any final.
Don't complain, get involved. That's all I say.
Absolutely, we can talk and talk, but at the end of the day, you've got to get involved. Somebody once said that there was a time when the Gurdwaras were very small, but the Sikhs' hearts were very big. And today, maybe the Gurdwaras have become very big, but our hearts have become very small. It's about quality, not quantity in Sikhi. And if you want the Gurdwaras to survive, if you think that there's no problems, look at the churches. We have to learn a lesson from them. We have to bring the youth into the Gurdwaras and we have to inspire them, we have to give them a vision and we have to have a vision ourselves. And I think today we've had some really good suggestion. So hopefully in today's program we have, if not started a revolution, at least got people talking.
Can we just say, can you
we haven't
visit
So,
langarweek.com?
don't forget the langarweek.com. Go on Facebook, give us your feedback. So, इत्थे आज समाप्ति करते हैं। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।